What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Asuka is semi-retired from WWE, emotional tributes pour in for Asuka, did TKO shorten Backlash's runtime, Seth Rollins teases another reinvention, where the hell were the USOS last night to help Roman Reigns, John Cena gets clowned, a fan got kicked out of WWE, how much money was actually thrown at Backlash, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's see the intro and get straight into our first story. Now our first story looks at Asuka semi-retired from WWE. Now following a loss to Io Sky, Asuka shared an emotional embrace with her former student inside the ring, while the Tampa crowd loudly rallied behind the Empress of Tomorrow. Before heading backstage, Asuka was also seen waving to the audience as the crowd continued to cheer her on. The moment immediately fueled speculation that that match may have been Asuka's final major WWE appearance. Now, according to Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Radio, people backstage in WWE were also treating the moment like a possible farewell. He revealed that he'd been told that Asuka is currently considered semi-retired. So the story I heard is that she is semi-retired. I haven't really gotten to an exact meaning of what semi-retired means, but I guess people were wishing her goodbye and things like that backstage. So I don't know if that means she's going to Japan and still wrestles. I don't know if that means she's going to still do stuff here and there, but I was told semi-retired. I wonder if she was with other people that was cut. I don't know. Sean Ross Sapper Fightful also addressed the uncertainty surrounding the situation, stating, I hit up multiple WWE contacts. I had a lot of people asking me internally if that was it. There's uncertainty. I've had one talent that works with her pretty often that's like, I don't know, trying to figure it out myself. However, a completely different update has now surfaced from Bodyslam.net's Viper, who directly pushed back against the retirement speculation. According to the Viper, Asuka is simply away indefinitely for personal reasons, and as of right now, retirement is not believed to be part of this situation. I was told last night that Asuka is out indefinitely for personal reasons that myself or Bodyslam will not be disclosing. As far as retirement or semi-retired like Dave is alluding to, as of last night, I'm told that is not the case. So at this point there is a clear conflicting story around Asuka's future. One report suggests that she's semi-retired while others suggest that she's simply away indefinitely for personal reasons and not retiring at all. However, emotional tributes poured in for Asuka. Now also adding to the confusion are the tributes now coming in from fellow wrestlers. Big E was one of the first names to react, followed by Charlotte Flair and Shinsuke Nakamura, as both veterans shared black and white photos of Asuka on their social media stories. Bayley had also posted a photo before the event showing herself, Asuka and Io Sky embracing at ringside. Following Asuka's emotional loss to Sky, Bayley later shared a more formal tribute describing the two as two of the rarest wrestlers in the entire world. However, the message that drew the most attention came from Io Sky herself. Shortly after the match, Sky posted an emotional statement on X that made the situation feel even more final, suggesting that a story with Asuka has officially reached its conclusion. Our story comes to its final chapter with today's match. The moment the match ended, my heart was filled with all sorts of emotions, meeting Asuka-san, spending the same time together, and being able to learn so much up close. These are irreplaceable treasures to me. Thank you so much, Asuka-san. We love you, Asuka-san. And the message translated from Japanese only intensified speculation around Asuka's WWE future. She's been a part of WWE since 2015 and building one of the most decorated careers in modern women's wrestling, including one-time NXT Women's Champion, Women's World Champion, 3-time Women's Champion, 5-time Women's Tag Team Champion, 1 Double Champion, a Triple Crown Champion, and a Grand Slam Champion. She had the longest undefeated streak in WWE, the longest NXT and Tag Team reign. She was the first woman to win the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and Money in the Bank. She is a wrestler that has consecutively held a championship every single year from 2016 to 2026, which is insane. And that's only her WWE achievement. Her achievements in Japan and outside of this squared circle are infinite. At this point, WWE fans are still waiting for official clarification, but the emotional tone surrounding Backlash, combined with the reaction from Asuka herself, talent backstage, and tributes across social media, is now making it increasingly clear that WWE may be entering a major transition period involving one of the most accomplished stars of this generation. If she has semi-retired, we want to say thank you, Asuka. Thank you for such an incredible run in WWE. Next up, did TKO shorten Backlash's runtime? One of the more debated aspects of Backlash this year was the overall runtime of the show. The entire event lasted roughly around 2 hours and 45 minutes, which actually makes it shorter than a standard 3-hour episode of SmackDown. And yeah, we still got commercials. While the tighter pacing helped the show move smoothly and prevented the card from dragging, the shorter runtime also created criticism around the overall value of the show. For a premium live event marketed as a major post-WrestleMania show, a fine match card and a sub 3-hour runtime made the event feel lighter than many expected. This is despite the strong in-ring quality. The timing of the event also becomes part of the conversation, especially with UFC 238 taking place the same night. That's led to criticism that TKO may have intentionally shortened Backlash to avoid running directly against UFC for an extended period of time. Next up, more news on the WWE cuts. Now it seems that a small group of WWE wrestlers were recently asked by TKO to accept pay cuts instead of being released outright. Now, according to backstage sources, fewer than 6 performers were affected, and they were reportedly not considered major stars or long-term priorities within WWE's creative plans. Management allegedly view these talents as wrestlers whose in-ring careers could be gradually reduced while they remain with the company in smaller promotional roles. The report by Bodyslam also notes that some wrestlers accepted the reduced contracts, while others did decline. One unnamed major WWE talent is said to have agreed to a dramatic 50% pay reduction because they likely would not have earned comparable money elsewhere, particularly outside of WWE. Obviously, we're not going to try and guess specifically who these stars were, but if they were lower-end players, then it was more likely those who would find themselves on main event. Next up, Seth Rollins teases on reinvention. Now, after Seth Rollins suffered a major loss at Backlash, questions immediately started surrounding what comes next for the Visionary. Rollins, however, made it clear during the post-show press conference that his issues with the Vision are far from over, while also reaffirming his goal of reclaiming the World Heavyweight Championship. I said day one when I come back I had 2 missions, 1 to win back the Heavyweight Championship I never lost, and 2 to destroy the Vision, and I cannot get to the world title without destroying the Vision. That is priority 1. So I'm going back to the lab, I will retool, redesign, refigure out who this Seth Rollins is, what the best freaking version of Seth freaking Rollins is. And I ain't done with the Vision, not by a long shot, not by a long shot. And then I'm gonna go down and get that title back. Rollins' comments strongly suggest WWE is positioning him for some form of reinvention following the loss, rather than moving him away from the storyline entirely. With Paul Heyman continuing to play a major role in the conflict and Bron Breakker gaining momentum after the win, the feud appears to be far from finished. Next up, a fan got kicked out of WWE. During the May 8th episode of SmackDown, a female fan was actually ejected from the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena after causing a major disruption during the match between Ricky Saints and Matt Cardona. According to the reports from fans in attendance, the individual appeared intoxicated and began creating a scene in a section, reportedly flipping off nearby fans and allegedly shoving another attendee. Once the situation escalated and became too disruptive for the surrounding crowd, arena security then stepped in. Sadly, the incident quickly pulled attention away from the match itself, with much of the Jacksonville crowd focusing on the removal of the fan. As security escorted the fan out of the arena, the crowd loudly broke into a goodbye chant. At this point, it remains unclear whether WWE or the venue will issue a formal ban or take any additional action following the incident. Next up, where were the USOS to help Reigns? Roman Reigns struggled to put away Jacob Fatu at Backlash, but despite being pushed to the limit, the OTC ultimately retained the World Heavyweight Championship. One of the more interesting details coming out of the match, however, was the complete absence of Jimmy and Jey Uso. Neither man appeared during the match or the post-match attack, despite both being present earlier in the night during the Backlash Countdown show. During the post-show coverage, Corey Graves specifically pointed out that Jimmy and Jey seemingly chose to stay away after Fatu warned on SmackDown that any attempt to help Roman Reigns would lead him to burning down the family tree. The fact that we did not see Jimmy or Jey in any capacity, they're here, we have them on the countdown. The fact that Jimmy and Jey heeded the warning issued by the Samoan werewolf, there's a lot more meat on this bone we have not explored. And that detail adds another layer to the larger bloodline story, especially with Fatu now being presented as someone dangerous enough to even make Reigns' own family hesitate before getting involved. It's not going to be too long until we see Jacob Fatu as World Heavyweight Champion. Next up, John Cena gets clowned. John Cena made a major announcement at WWE Backlash, but much of the online reaction quickly shifted towards something else entirely, his hair transplant progress. Shortly after Cena appeared live in Tampa, social media filled with comments from fans who believed his bald spot had become visible again already. One fan mentioned, "Yo, John Cena, those turkey doctors scammed you, that bald spot is coming back. I'll demand a refund." Others pointed out that the hair transplants often require ongoing treatment and maintenance to help prevent continued thinning over time. But the discussion gained even more traction because Cena had recently spoken openly about the procedure itself. He explained that the recovery process was far more demanding than many people realize, especially during the first 2 weeks after the surgery when swelling sensitivity and strict care routines become critical. CENA also revealed that maintaining the results now requires a disciplined daily routine involving scalp treatments, therapy, medication, hydration, and lifestyle adjustments to help keep the transplanted hair healthy. Next up, JBL defends TKO. John Bradshaw Layfield is defending WWE talent who chose to accept reduced money contracts under the TKO Group holdings, pushing back against criticism from fans online. Speaking on Something to Wrestle With podcast, JBL addressed the backlash aimed at wrestlers who agreed to restructure deals under the new TKO system. I know that there's a contingent online who are like, hey, you gotta stand up and do what's right, like you do realize what you're saying. JBL pointed to the level of guaranteed money still involved, especially for veteran wrestlers later in their careers. He explained that walking away from a multi-million-dollar contract is much easier to suggest online than it is for talent dealing with real-life responsibilities. Like, if you got them a new 5-year deal at $1 million a year, who walks away from $1 million a year in the twilight of their career for, let's be honest, a much easier schedule than he originally signed up for? I also highlighted how today's WWE schedule is far less demanding than previous areas, with reduced travel, fewer live events, and a significantly better quality of life. JBL ultimately urged fans to stop judging wrestlers for making practical career decisions. I for one 100% agree with JBL. Yes, wrestlers should know what they're worth, and TKO is certainly on their BS with asking wrestlers to reduce their contracts they've already signed, but at the end of the day, these wrestlers have got to think about their families. They've got to think about what's right. This is guaranteed money. Even if it's less, why would you turn that down? Next up, CARMELO Hayes chants erupt following Trick Williams' Backlash victory. One of the biggest developments coming out of Backlash surrounds Trick Williams, who successfully retained the US Championship against Sami Zayn in their WrestleMania 42 rematch. Now, with the feud seemingly wrapped up, attention has already shifted towards who could be next for Trick, and one name immediately resurfaced during the Backlash post-show. While speaking during the media conference, Williams confidently claimed that nobody besides him is truly worth of holding the championship. However, once he was asked about possible challenges, fans in the background started loudly chanting for CARMELO Hayes. Y'all want to see Trick versus Melo? The people have spoken. I mean, shoot, let's see what happens. We'll see what happens. Lil Yachty go about it and see what we come up with. Hayes has been absent from WWE programming since losing his US Championship rematch against Zayn on SmackDown, but the reaction during the post-show made it clear that interest in revisiting the Melo vs Trick rivalry is very much still there. At the same time, the response also reflects a growing feeling that Zayn's run in the US title picture may now be finished. This could potentially open the door for WWE to move forward with a fresh rivalry between Williams and Hayes. And finally, that was real money at Backlash. And finally, staying with the fallout from the Backlash 2026 event, Lil Yachty has now revealed exactly how much money he threw into the crowd during Trick Williams' match against Sami Zayn. During the entrance, Yachty walked to the ring carrying a kendo stick in one hand and multiple stacks of cash in the other, before throwing the money directly into the crowd as Williams made his way down to the aisle. During the post-show segment, Jackie Redmond asked Yachty how much money he actually threw into the crowd, and according to the rapper, each stack he tossed into the crowd contained $1,000. I guess those in the front row probably paid about 10 grand for those tickets, maybe got a fraction of their money back. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.